whether it was setting up tables and hurdles and trash cans. I was guest services taking tickets, answering questions at the guest services desk. I also did everything from locking up the stadium at night or the baseball stadium at night. So it was a kind of a catch-all. I like to say like the little elves that came out at night and kind of handle everything that nobody saw, and then when you wake up the morning, everything was all set. That's kind of what we did. So I did that for 4 years during my entire undergrad at UCF while I was getting my degree. And I really enjoyed it. I knew that I wanted to be in sports, but I also didn't know if I wanted to work at a venue. So I kind of kept that in the back of my mind, but kept trucking along and doing what I did. When I graduated UCF, I got a job at SeaWorld, which was pretty cool. I worked in their marketing department, and I had the coolest job ever.
Who would be, in charge of planning all of these events, and then I get with them and I execute the event from our side. So I find out what their table needs are, what kind of spaces they need, if they need music, food, drinks, bar service, things like that. So I work with them very closely on just getting all those events up and running, and then I'm also there the day of, coordinating with them, things like that.
Yep. And like I mentioned before, I'm in charge of contracting those. So before they even get to Jordan and her team, they've already, signed a contract, given a deposit, submitted a certificate of insurance, so we're all good to go there. And that's pretty much the same for all premium events and all concerts. There are no contracts for an NHL game. That's kind of a given right there. They're a main tenant, so no contracting there.
So let me ask you guys a question. Raise your hand if you've been to an event at Amalie Arena. Okay, keep your hand up if it was a hockey game. Pretty much everyone. Keep your hand up if it was a concert. Wow, okay, I'm surprised I never get this many hands. What about the Yingling Center? Really, you guys don't sport your basketball teams?
Volleyball?
Volleyball, basketball? Okay, what about like concerts or basketball at the Yingling Center? Feel free to shout them out.
Comedy show?
Yeah. Okay, so you're pretty familiar with the venues, you've seen them. So what I'll first talk about is the sports aspect to our job. Sam mentioned she plans what the schedule looks like from the Tampa Bay Lightning, working with Julian Breezewell and everything on that. And gets mad at us sometimes because she's too good at her job with the concerts. But from a Tampa Bay Lightning perspective, basically my client on a game is all internal. So I'm working with our partnership team, our sales team, marketing team, food and beverage, all of that, on making sure the building is ready and everything they've sold to their clients is ready inside our building, that the building looks good, the furniture isn't all out of whack, everything's in line, it's clean. So it's kind of cookie cutter, it's the same thing every time. But of course last night was Hockey Fights Cancer Night, and then previously last week was Military Night. So it's basically executing all the moving parts that come with any of those theme nights and things like that. We have a game tomorrow that all works. So in the afternoon, I'll do a walk of the entire building, all 6 levels of it. I haven't figured out how many steps that is yet because my watch kept turning off on me when I tried to, but still waiting to figure it out. I'm sure it's like 3 miles or something. So yeah, I'll do a building walk, make sure the building looks good, make sure it's ready. So when we open doors, if you're coming into the building, like you don't immediately walk into like trash on the floor or chairs in the wrong spot, or if we have people tabling on the concourse trying to give away passes to the kids club, or Florida Blue presenting night tomorrow, they want to hand you out cookbooks, like things like that. Just making sure all those things are in place and making sure everyone all of our guests coming into the building are just as happy as all of my coworkers who are asking me for these things. Anything else for Lightning for you?
No, I really don't touch Lightning as much. I'm more focused on the games and the premium event, or excuse me, the concerts and the premium events. Like she said, they're all cookie cutters, so I don't even really come to the games since I'm mostly there for the concerts.
And then USF Athletics, we only touch USF Athletics that happen in the Yingling Center. At least my team does. I know our guest services teams and security staff the soccer games. So, but any basketball, both men and women, or volleyball, myself or one of my colleagues will have coordinated that alongside USF Athletics with men's and women's basketball. So similar to what I just said about hockey, translates exactly into the Yingling Center. Center, doing that building walk, make sure all the things are in place. However, the Yingling Center, we are a little bit more focused on the game aspect as far as like broadcast and stuff goes, like with the Lightning. We have a whole broadcasting department, whole marketing, and they kind of, deal in their lanes. But at basketball games, we'll be more involved with broadcast and IT needs and things like that, which I'm still learning. And then our favorite, I think, are concerts. So I'll let you start with that.
So from a concert standpoint, I mean, I can hold out dates years in advance. It's not typical, but it has happened. Same thing with large conferences. So I just actually, we won a bid for a conference in 2023. So we forecast out pretty far. Concerts, I mean, it can be as late as 2 months, or as quick as 2 months that I know that we're getting a show, to as far out as 2 years. Again, that's not too frequent, but it either is the 2 months. It's usually in a 6 to 8 month time frame. So a lot of the times I'll get asked, do you guys go out and seek the concerts, or are they coming to you? The answer is a little bit of both. Mostly they're coming to us because we're so great. We are one of the busiest buildings in the country, and we also sell a lot of our most tickets in the country. But typically, like I said, we'll get an email, we'll get a phone call from an agent or promoter. If the agent is still trying to find a promoter, it will come from them. If the promoter has already won the contract, it'll come from the promoter. And again, they'll just find out what kind of dates we have available, and then we'll stay in touch with them. There's constant following up, is this date still available? If maybe they're not in the first hold, right? So it's kind of like a first come, first serve. So let's say 2 people are in front of, I'll keep using Celine Dion as the reference. Let's say Justin Bieber and Bad Bunny are in front of Celine Dion, and she wants that date. I have to challenge the first 2 dates. So I have to call those promoters and say, you've got 3 days. That's their limit, 3 days, business days, to tell me if you're gonna confirm or release your date. And if I don't hear from them, they lose it. And then Celine Dion will eventually get that date. And we also require a deposit for some of our promoters that we work with as well. And from there, like I said, we do a contract. Of course, at that point, a lot of our contracts are pretty cookie cutter as well, working with the same promoters, time after time. Live Nation is our biggest partner. They're in our building, 20 to 40 times a year, I would say, between both buildings. So once that gets done, like I said, I get the certificate of insurance, and then we can move forward and start planning the event.
So the first thing that has to happen for an event to go on sale is we need to know what it's going to look like in our building. We need to know how many seats are on the floor, how many tickets can we sell, how many, if there's a GA pit, how many people can fit into that. So what I do is I work with the promoter or the production manager and build a CAD. There we go. And build a CAD. So a CAD stands for Computer Assisted Design. This is one you see here, because I'm sure if I tried to explain this to you, you would have no idea what I'm talking about. This show, who knows Post Malone? Pretty much everybody, right? So this is Post Malone. So I got this, he was in October 24th. I started working on this probably a year before that, maybe 8 months. So what we do is the show sends us what his stage is gonna look like, what his lighting rig's gonna look like, what his, just pretty much everything, right? Screens, yeah. Anything. So Post Malone was pretty interesting because this right here is his stage. He just walks back and forth on that all night by himself. So most artists, you come to a show, you were at the comedy show, it's just a big square, right? Well, this is more like a runway. And then these 2 things here were like these ginormous screens, like huge. I've never seen somebody so big. And then this right here are these, what we call GA pits. So those are standing room only areas. And then all of this is what we filled in to know how many seats on the floor we could sell. So those are all chairs. This is what we call the front of house position. So everything that controls the lights, the sound, visuals, anything is done out of here so that they can see the stage. So the reason why we do this is number 1, making sure that it fits into the building. And then number 2, when the show loads in the morning, which They came in at 7 a.m. I'm the first person they see when they come into the building, and I'm the last person they see when they leave in the building. So about 6:30 in the morning to, actually it was 5 a.m. From 5 o'clock in the morning to 2 o'clock the next morning, I'm in this building with Post Malone and all of his crew. So they walk in, they have this CAD, they know exactly what measurements to take, where to put the stage. What you can't see depicted on this drawing is all their lighting and their sound and everything that would hang from the ceiling also gets drawn into this drawing, so we can make sure that the lights hit the exact position on the stage that they need to hit, that the sound is covering enough of all these guys all the way up here, making sure this person up here can hear what's happening down here. From there, we can calculate how many people we can fit into this pit. We can put how many chairs we can fit on the floor. We have a bunch of rules with the fire marshal. We need a certain amount of space to egress the floor for people to walk back and forth, things like that. That's why there aren't chairs all the way back to this seating dasher right there, because how would people get around? So this is pretty much step one of getting a show on sale. From here, the box office takes it. They do their thing with, building this into Ticketmaster, and then you guys can see those tickets on Ticketmaster, and you'll be able to pick which seat you want to sit in. Another example here, a little bit more zoomed in. This is something I did, a show I did on Sunday, Ariana Grande. You guys have heard of her. So her stage was a lot bigger than Post Malone's was. So this was like a kind of a walkway for her. Again, they have these stage left, stage right pits with GA seating, and then she has a lot less seats on the floor because her stage is a lot bigger. So to see kind of how this comes to life, that was the stage. So I took that picture on Sunday and forgot that I put this into the PowerPoint, so it worked out well. But you can kind of see like the chairs on the floor. It's a little bit dark, but you just see how all of this loads into the building. So again, I met them at 4:45 in the morning. We did a whole walk of storage because all this stuff has to come off a truck. So they rolled in with 23 trucks. They built all of this on the same day that the show happens, for the most part. So they built all this starting at 5 o'clock in the morning. They were done with it around noon, and then we could start setting chairs. They could start focusing all the lights. She could have sound checked if she wanted to. She did not. So yeah, that's kind of my day. I'm pretty much the liaison between the tour and the building. So all the information from the show comes to me and then filters through to my guest services team, my security team, engineering, electric, everybody. So they'll give me all that info, and I'll disseminate it across our organization. So something else that we like to do for artists we like to, artists and their crew, because you always think that there's that person on the stage, but they travel with about 150 people that come with them to build everything I just showed you there. So we like to take care of them, give them a little pick-me-up in the afternoon, but also like have fun with it and tailor it to the artist or the show. So Sam, myself, and a few other people from our department will sit down once a month and go over the shows that we have coming for the next month and just come up with ideas of what to put backstage for the artists to see and the crew to see. I will say the Jonas Brothers posted our stuff on social media, so it's always fun to see everything you thought of like be on these famous people's Instagrams and Twitters and things like that. So if you guys follow Travis Scott at all, you will know exactly, like, there's carnival stuff themed everywhere at every city he goes to, so a lot of venues do this. So up here is the Jonas Brothers. This is just something we did. We had a lot of stuff for them. We had like balloons in the hallway. Their tour theme was Happiness Begins. And when we think happiness, we think the beach. So we made them a little beach right here, put out some chairs, and that's an ice sculpture with their faces in it, and like a palm tree. This one is Shawn Mendes. So Shawn Mendes is Canadian, so we just so happen to have a poutine concession stand in our building. So we decked out this in poutine, and there's like, I don't think it was set up yet, but like french fries, gravy, the whole nine. And I watched him eat it, and he was really excited about it, because when I told somebody on his show, I was like, oh, we're gonna do a poutine bar for him, and they were like, Shawn Mendes eats healthy, he doesn't eat french fries, he won't touch that. And as we were kind of standing near the table, he walked on by and was like, poutine, and grabbed a bite, like used his hands, like didn't even wait for someone to serve him, which was kind of gross, but he ate it and it was worth it for me. And then these are just some really cool cookies that we have a local artist, I guess we can call
He's a
him.
baker.
A baker.
Mm-hmm.
Baker artist. So these are for Tyler, the creator, who was at the Yingling Center a few months back. And PD is the guy who makes those cookies. We use him a lot. And it's really cool because it ties in like a local aspect to these shows. And then this is a snack table for Lizzo. As you can see, we said these snacks are good as hell. Good as hell is a song of hers. So again, that's that tie in there. We also we stalk these people's social media accounts. Well, our event marketing person.
Yeah, we have a marketing department that is constantly on social media looking at kind of what's trending, what other buildings are doing, because we want to stay competitive, you know? Like Jordan was saying, you know, they're constantly away from home, they want to be treated right, and we want them to be treated right, so they'll come back to us. So if you ever are curious to see what we're doing, you can follow our handles on Instagram, Manly Arena, the Yingling Center, and kind of see what we're doing for the artists.
Yeah, we post it every show day. And then, so why I bring up social media is because we saw Lizzo posted like this whole Instagram story about how she loves dipping hot Cheetos in cream cheese. Well, at Family Arena, we sell hot Cheetos popcorn. I know you made that face. I thought it was gross. It's actually pretty good. So, so we brought over these Cheetos popcorn. Now the Yingling Center doesn't have it, but Amley does. So that's just another example of how we can kind of feed off each other. So we brought over this popcorn, actually these cupcakes too, because I guess she likes cereal. So we had like cereal cupcakes made with little milk injections on the top. And then we had some of those cookies too. And when they walked in, like all the dancers, Lizzo, like they stopped and they ate that stuff. So again, it just makes them feel welcome and appreciated into the venue. Something else we do for artists is we give them gifts, or sometimes we'll give them jerseys. Like up here, Ed Sheeran got a jersey. And then here, we customized a flute case for Lizzo because she has Sasha flute. So we got a local artist again to customize a flute case, and we were able, most of the time we're able to present these gifts to the artist. These are a few examples of trade shots, are what they called. But sometimes, like for Ariana Grande on Sunday, we weren't allowed, but we were still allowed to put it in her dressing room. So she still got our jersey and our gifts and things like that. So we're trying to steer away from just giving people jerseys because it's so old school now. And we're just trying to be more detailed and personable. That's a good word for that.
And authentic to who we are, authentic to Tampa. That's really our big goal there when it comes to gifting. So, locally made soaps or candles, or maybe some spices from the Columbia Cafe, something like that, where they won't be able to get anywhere else. Like she said, everyone does the jerseys. So like for instance, Carrie Underwood, her husband plays for a rival team. So we would not give her a jersey, but rather we gave her bourbon and bow tie bracelets, which are local. And her name is Carrie Marie. So they actually saw a Carrie bracelet and a Marie bracelet. So we bundled it together and made her a nice package that she would actually utilize. So that's important to us.
And like for the Jonas Brothers, we went to, during work hours, I went and spent like $200 at ABC Liquors on beer and wine for them. So we got like all these locally crafted beers and then just bottles of wine for their wives who were traveling with them. And we were able to put it in their dressing rooms with little lightning coolers. So a lot of thought goes into the gifts we give the artists and kind of what our presentation is to them. And it's always great when we can meet them and explain to them like why we're doing what we're doing and what this is. And if they don't keep it or they don't whatever, at least the thought went into it. But so yeah, like the people in the trade shot, so we always have like the event coordinator, which would be me, an event marketing person, somebody who like books the venue, so Sam or Kevin or Kelly, and then our promoter representative, so that's Live Nation or Messina Touring Group and things like that. So if you're wondering like who are these people in the photo, that's kind of like somebody from each department who helped put the show on.
And these are not just for us to keep and show you guys. These are actually utilized, they're called trade shots because they're submitted to our trade publications. And then they're printed, and all the arenas around the country do it. So you kind of just see like who's coming to the different venues and kind of what everyone else is kind of doing as well. That's all we've got. We got questions?
Questions?
Whoa.
Yeah.
Sorry. saying it over and over in my mind. Okay, so I just had a couple questions. They kind of tie in together, but so with your job, do you feel like a lot of pressure? Yeah, I know it's cookie cutter, but like your first couple, then once you get like the routine of it, you feel better? Or like the first time you do an event, do you feel like a lot of pressure?
I did when I was an event coordinator, especially when there is a wedding, right? We talked about weddings earlier, or a gala that, you know, maybe has a touring artist that is going to be performing at the gala, a national act. For the smaller ones, like, you know, a 30-person meeting for a bank or something, no. And I don't really feel pressure in the booking standpoint. What I do feel pressure in is the night of, during settlement, because that's where all the money comes into play and everyone wants to make sure they're getting paid and paid correctly. So that part can get a little bit nerve-wracking at times because you don't want to say the wrong thing or give them too much, and there's a lot of negotiating that goes on, right? So, for instance, when Ariana Grande has how many pounds of confetti?
40.
40 pounds of confetti that we need to clean up. I'm going to charge for that. But do they want to pay for it? Not necessarily. So there's some back and forth, and okay, fine, I'll give it to you for half price or whatever the case may be. So that's really the only time where I might feel a little bit on edge.
So for me, because I'm like their person day of, yes, I do feel a little bit of pressure. However, I've been doing this for 3 years now, and coming into it, like I mentioned to you guys, first thing, I just wanted to work in sports. I wanted to work in hockey. Concerts are now my favorite thing, and because they're different every time. So when I was first starting out, I was very nervous on show days. I would wake up like, because you just don't know what's going to be thrown at you either. But now that I've been doing it for so long, 3 years, I feel a lot more confident. I am a lot more confident myself in my decision making on show days. I'm starting to see the same people because somebody on Ariana Grande, who's a production manager, so he's in charge of pretty much everything, isn't always going to be with Ariana Grande. He's coming back with Roger Waters, and I know we're going to get Roger Waters, so I know I'm going to see him again. So now I'm starting to see the same people and establish relationships in this new world. So I've definitely grown a lot more confident. I'm also the most tenured person on my team, so a lot of these people look up to me for direction on what to do.